This person, born in India, basic education, but in India, then joined Harvard University. So he educated in Harvard University and also doctorate. Yeah. So then last year, since actually 2001, we already achieved adequate political leadership. Since then, my position is semi-retired position. Now last year, he elected this young, energetic, educated, modern sort of educated, he elected. So then I thought, now time come, I should take full retirement, complete retirement. So now, politically, he is my boss. However, spiritually, I am his boss. Please.
Holiness,
Yes.
Kalon Tripa,
Oh,
good to have you here in Vienna. Taji Delek, in order to speed up, I give the word to you.
So, Master,
Would you like,
let's go over here.
would you like to sum up a little bit at the beginning what
yes,
happened?
yes. Whenever I meet media people, I always do things. That's why almost, I think, all my life I committed. Two things is, firstly, I'm speaking on the level of I am one human being, one of the 7 billion human beings. Human nature is such. Firstly, we are social animals, and particularly in modern time, individual future very much depend on the rest of the humanity. So for selfish reason, in order to gain happier individual life, so you have to take the rest of the humanity. So I always telling people, everybody is sort of what's in the future depend on humanity. So therefore, we should take more sort of sense of concern about others' well-being. Just think oneself, self-centered attitude may not get satisfactory sort of happy result like that. So I always see talk with people, and then media people also have important role. Make better awareness that nature. I think best way to take care of oneself is to take care of others. Then you get maximum benefit. I think simply, we human beings, we need friends. If you remain extreme self-centered attitude, how can you bring genuine, trusted, genuine friend? Difficult. I think we can learn from animals. If we treat them sincerely, affectionately, then they show you friendship. So that's why number 1 commitment. Second commitment, then I'm speaking, I'm Buddhist monk. I usually describe, I'm simple Buddhist monk. So, on that sort of level, on that sort of capacity, on that sort of basis, I try to promote harmony among the different institutions. Because it is really very, very sad. Sometimes different faith sort of they're becoming one factor to divide people. And sometimes even it's a conflict. So it is very, very sad. On the other hand, all different religious traditions inspire different philosophical views all carry same message. Message of love, compassion, forgiveness, tolerance, these things. So all religions have the same potential to help humanity, to serve humanity. Therefore, there is a common ground live together with mutual respect and in fact mutual learning. So these two things, my lifelong sort of commitment, and also I consider media people in modern time, you see, you have very important role promotion of these things. So I want to share wherever I go. Then, third point, especially for media people, that is, media people suppose educating public and make clear about reality. Therefore, media people should have long nose, like elephant nose, and smell front, and also behind what's going on. So, public should know what's the reality, what's really happening. So, at the time on this planet, sometimes hypocrisy also becoming some kind of fashion wear, almost like fashion wear. So people, there's a danger, people deceive. So therefore, you media people should investigate what is the reality, then make clear to the public, provided you should be honest, unbiased, objective, particularly in a democratic country, in order to build clean society, including businessmen or in field of economy, field of politics, field of anything, in order to build clean community or clean community. You see, public should inform what really happened. So that's all. That question. First, I take different philosophies, different philosophical sort of views about time. And in a way, time also relative. Time must be based on something. Then we can say past, present, future. Time itself. So in any way, I always say movement, time, is nature. No force can stop that movement, momentarily changing. What we can do is utilize time properly or not. Now, this is the question. So, yes, I agree. Your lifestyle, and with help of sort of technology, these things are life rather busy and quite sort of fasting today, changing very fastly. But then, our mental state remain calm, less stress. Then, external environment may not much effect on your peace of mind. If you now, for example, if we spend with your friend, you can trusted friend, then 1 hour, 2 hours, several hours, find a short period. If you meet a difficult person, even 5 minutes feel difficult, isn't it? So that clearly shows our own mental attitude is a major factor. So I think my own case, of course, I'm nothing special, but as I mentioned earlier, I'm a simple Buddhist monk who also used to practice these things. So therefore, my mental state, no anxiety, no sort of anxiousness or anxiety, these things, stress. When I meet people, I consider you as an old friend. No differences. Of course, appearance very big differences. There once a journalist of Free Tibet who wears that shirt, Free Tibet. Yes. But within that head, emotions, minds, basically same. And desire, happy life, happy day, same desire. And most importantly, everyone has the right to achieve happy life. So, when I look at different people, from that way, no barrier. If I consider I am Tibetan, I am Buddhist, these are not Buddhist, not Tibetan, that kind of mental attitude automatically creates some kind of barrier. Then anxieties, worst case, distrust, suspicion. You open your mind. Consider you as a human brother, sisters. Nothing. No basis for anxiety. So time, maybe a little bit rush. Go here, here and there. But mentally, that kind of attitude, you see, no feeling of, because of that, too much of rush there. Nothing. And every night, I had 8 to 9 hours sound sleep. That's one sort of, my sort of was the special source of my energy. Nothing. No anxiety, nothing. And when you see I met some difficult person, okay, if things really will become difficult, then no need to spend with that person. Okay, goodbye. No problem. I think detailed answer, I think our political leaders should tell. I say, last 50, 60 years, my experience. And not only in our own case, I think on global level also. You see, the power of truth and power of gun for a short period, power of gun is much more, decisive. For long run, power of truth is much stronger. That's the basis of our belief. So, we carry last 50, 60 years a policy or thinking strictly based on non-violence. And then Tibetan case, not one-side victory, one-side defeat, but mutual benefit. Then, therefore, among Chinese, mainly intellectuals, writers, artists, year by year, more and more people, more Chinese is showing their spirit of solidarity with us. So this is a hopeful sign. Then on the other hand, Tibetan people's determination also wonderful, very strong. And then also awareness outside the world also, you see, they increasing. So therefore, I always remain optimistic. Then your answer. Oh, yes. Translate. Yeah. He mentioned, you see, time is very sort of passing. So translate.
So in the interest of time, I'll be pretty short. Tibetan administration, as per the vision of His Holiness Dalai Lama has invested in democracy and non-violence for many decades. And because it's non-violent, we believe in dialogue is the best process to solve the issue of Tibet. Based on that, genuine autonomy within China or within the framework of the Chinese constitution is what we seek. So we are not challenging China's sovereignty or territorial integrity. And with that genuine autonomy, there is a document also, which it's available through the website, called Memorandum of Genuine Autonomy. So that's what Tibetans seek, because this is a win-win proposition, which will save China's security as well as economic interests, and mainly the sovereign interest, whereas Tibetans could gain genuine autonomy. And it's very clear, the situation inside Tibet is dire and is getting worse. Since 2008, uprising where there was massive rallies and protests all over Tibetan areas, and there has been a crackdown has followed. Now, 35 Tibetans have self-immolated, of which 27 have died. That reflects how serious, how grave the situation is, where Tibetans are saying the occupation of Tibet is unacceptable and repression of Tibetans is unbearable. That's why Tibetans are resorting to self-immolation, which unfortunately is tragic and sad way of protesting. But the Chinese government does not allow any room for any form of protest, hunger strike, rallies, demonstration, and if you do, the chances that you might get shot. And given the dire situation, it is all the more incumbent now that the Chinese government address the issue of Tibet through dialogue. And we are willing and ready to have dialogue from our side. Unfortunately, since January of 2010, there has been no formal dialogue between the envoys, Tibetan envoys, and the Chinese counterpart. But from our side, we are still willing and ready to solve this issue through dialogue.
I think perhaps the one part I think I should respond. The early 60s, I think in fact 59 and 60, International Commission of Jurists, you see, carry some investigation, and I think they made two reports about human rights violation, and then also Tibetan, at that time, Tibetan political status. So I think it is better to, to read these reports. I think you should.
What His Holiness was referring to was two reports by the International Commission of Jurists based in Geneva, and then there was a follow-up report in 1998 by the same organization. And also the United Nations in 1959, 61, 65 passed 3 resolutions on Tibet, and 61 particularly mentions right of self-determination for Tibetan people. Because based on the same report, many international legal experts have concluded that Tibet has, for all practical purpose, how we define state, territorial government, people, and sovereignty, because at that time, pre-1911, at least in 1913, Tibet has entered into agreements or treaty relationship with neighboring countries, including with British India in 1914. Under international law, one could make an argument for right of self-determination for Tibetan people. And presently, obviously there's gross human rights violations in Tibet, and that is why we have a rally tomorrow where we have asking people to join to show their concerns and then stand up for justice. And then United Nations, the European Union, to appoint a special coordinator on Tibet, and if possible to send a delegation to Tibetan areas where there are cases of human rights violation, environmental destruction, particularly the cases of self-immolation so that they could examine why it's happening and what are the causes and how best to solve the issue of Tibet. As you might recall, of 35 self-immolators, almost all of them, at least most of them, have two clear demands or two clear cries. One is the return of His Holiness Dalai Lama to Tibet and restoration of freedom for Tibetan people. So these are the two key demands. So because of lack of human rights, that is why there's such protests, including self-immolations, are taking place inside Tibet.
And do you think that this action can really stop self-immolation in Tibet?
I think the first part, Tibetan issue, not only just the political side, but my main concern, two fields. One, environment. Tibet, even you see some Chinese sort of ecologists, they describe Tibetan plateau third world because effect from Tibetan plateau to global warming as much as South Pole and North Pole. So they describe Tibetan plateau as third pole. So I often mention the global warming, ecology in general, and particularly the Tibetan plateau case. So that I'm going to sort of mention tomorrow, one thing. Then second thing, Tibetan Buddhism and Tibetan Buddhist culture is not only Tibetan concern, but also you see in that Central Asia, I think several millions of people really following Tibetan Buddhism and Tibetan Buddhist culture. And particularly millions of Chinese, young Chinese, they really showing interest about Buddhism in general and Tibetan Buddhism in particular, like that. So therefore, these two things, as a sort of human being, and also is what they always is showing concern about ecology. So I will speak these 2 points, and the rest, his responsibility.
Definitely, tomorrow's rally, where we expect 7,000 people to come, which will be a show of support for Tibetan people. We hope that this kind of message, this kind of rally will send a message of hope to Tibet inside Tibet, that there are still people who are for justice, who will come and rally for Tibetan people, for Tibetan cause. So this kind of message will always help Tibetans inside Tibet to remain non-violent, to believe in the Tibetan spirit, to believe that there is a future. And then when the hopelessness sink in, then we worry that it might lead to other ways of protest which we don't want to see, and which His Holiness the Dalai Lama has always discouraged. So to remain non-violent, to remain hopeful, to believe in oneself, this kind of a rally will definitely send a positive message, a message of hope. That is why we have come here to participate and share the sufferings of Tibetan people and seek support from the international community.
And then also, may I add, with his permission, the Chinese communist hardliner, they believe, like the Tibetan issue, and also many problems within China itself, and also Uyghur area, they believe just suppression, using force, gun, power of gun can solve. So these kind of sort of the public sort of expression of concern is clear signal. Unless Chinese hardliner address realistically, issue will not go away. I think that signal also I think important, isn't it? Do you agree? I always make clear, yes, there was some connection, but actual sort of revolt or sort of the revolt, not revolt, against resistance, yes. Actually, resistance start by Tibetans themselves. Once you see some resistance become quite significant, then CIA, you see, support like that. And then also, even some Tibetan who are working CIA, CIA. One time in 1959 in Mussoorie, one Tibetan told me he feels CIA very grateful that all Dalai Lama escaped they planned. I told him, no. We escaped from Nobulinga, nobody helped. Ourselves, you see, decided, now no longer any useful, remain Nobulinga. So we left. Only when I reached southern Tibet, then some contact with CIA, like that. So all this, you see, initiative not from a foreigner, but Tibet themselves. And then I think furthermore, who created these sort of problems? Actually, Chinese communists themselves.
Eine Nachfrage stellen?
Ja, bitte, es sind so viele Fragen. Ich bitte um Entschuldigung, wir müssen, sonst haben wir überhaupt keine Chance mehr.
Just want to add actually the plan, the escape plan of the Solomons was planned by and executed by Tibetans. And then after the Solomons arrived in southern India, southern Tibet, then only the contact happened. Then the CIA started supporting Tibetan resistance group, but in a very marginal way. There's a movie called Shadow Circus. There's a book called Orphans of the Cold War. You can clearly read. And by early 1970s, with the normalization of relationship between America and China after the Henry Kissinger and Nixon visit, everything ended. So since then, there has been no aid from the CIA, and then the resistance group also was dissolved.
I believe culture, culture, I believe any culture is developed because the evolution. And see, also the people, different from culture, you see, including their way of life, due to the environment. So they develop, evolve the cultural heritage. So it's relevant to the concerned people. Now culture, I think a variety of culture. I don't know Austrian culture, I don't know. In order to know Austrian culture, I have to spend more time here and study.
But you learned from Heinrich Hader.
Wait. But I usually believe Tibetan culture, usually I make distinction, Buddhism and Buddhist culture. Buddhism for Buddhist, but Buddhist culture mainly related with the community. So, last 4 centuries, Tibetan Muslims there. They are Muslim, not Buddhist, but their way of life very much in the spirit of Buddhist culture. Now that Tibetan Buddhist culture, we can say culture of non-violence, culture of compassion, culture of peace. So, I I think a number of people who know something about the Tibetan culture, they really show interest about Tibetan culture. So therefore, I believe it's really worthwhile to preserve that culture. Look, China, a lot of crimes, a lot of corruptions. Force cannot sort of eliminate these things. Only self-discipline. So self-discipline very much need to be non-violent culture based on moral principle. Then Austria, since my first visit here, that was 1973. At once I noticed, you see, in front of my the hotel, when I passing through, the ordinary Austrian on the street, showing that. So it shows some kind of familiar. That my great friend, Henry Kala, I'm really, because of that, very much pleased. I visited his own birthplace last few days there. So he really made, I think, tremendous sort of cultivation in Austrian mind about Tibet, about the culture. He himself, till his death, he always said his happiest period, whole his life, is 7 years in Tibet. He always mentioned that. So that I know, Austrian people, it's really something quite familiar with Tibet. So I appreciate it.
Danke. Zu der Frage vorher.
Then Austrian, you see, some kind of especially the uniform. This is ordinary. And something.
Feder am Hut.
That way, I love that. Of course, I'm monk. I cannot wear that. If I'm a lay person, I want to wear that. Mysterious. Of course, spirit. I think English word. I think vast of the meaning. Of course, I'm not very sure the exact meaning of spirit. I think he knows better. Just spirit. I think some good things there. Bad spirit, good spirit, neutral spirit. I think that sort of variety. But however, I think spirit in the sense is more concerned about our inner value. Then, you see, it is very important. Now, today's world, I think one sort of source of today's crisis, moral crisis, and violence, including among children, some kind of crisis. And of course, corruptions, hypocrisy. All these clearly shows we are lacking moral principle. With moral principle, you will carry self-discipline. Then, when you have opportunity to exploit dread, when you have the opportunity to wrongdoing, but with the sense of self-discipline, restraint, in economic field, or environment field, or political field, everywhere. So therefore, I firmly believe in modern education system. We are not sort of paying sufficient attention about education of warm-heartedness. Warm-heartedness is the basis of moral principle. Regardless, believer or non-believer, we must have secular way to teach people to make awareness the importance of these inner values. Basically, sense of concern of others' well-being. That is the essence of spirituality. It's my view. So that we can make better awareness or conviction about that through awareness, through education, not through prayer, not through meditation, but law for community, for family, for individual, inner value, as I mentioned before. That's most important sort of factor. But usually, we simply feel, if you got sort of money, more money, you feel, oh, now my life is safe. That's not the case. Some my friend, my sort of friend, some American, I think billionaire, very rich, as a person, very unhappy person, we found. So ultimate source of happiness, successful life, is not self, not money, not drug, not alcohol. I think Austrian, I think maybe I think loves wine. So that I consider some kind of spirituality with religious belief. Another level of spirituality without religious belief. I think that can be universal.
There are always many threats, and you are always the target of threat against you. Recently, there was these rumors about Tibetan women.
And a few years ago, we received some information from people who are working in some Chinese sort of security sort of, what's the name?
Secure system.
Security sort of.
System, yes. Secure system. Yes.
Oh, some people actually is carrying that message. I think you should.
I think on that, the Tibetan administration has issued a statement last Sunday, which has clearly explained how this information came about, and then it was from a reliable source but not verified. But threat to His Holiness' life is always a major concern for Tibetan administration and Tibetan people. So we constantly review potential threats, but we do receive information of what His Holiness shared last and from time to time. So.
Yes, but how do you live with this constant danger of your life?
If I feel too much sort of that scare away, and then not meeting with like you, and in my own room, remain like that, it's self-torture.